Hello. I'm so sick, I think I'm gonna die. But let's see what we can notice here. My right knee has randomly started having a problem. As I think about it, I was talking about my knee with a coworker before that, about having knee problems. I didn't have any knee pain at the time, and I even made a statement like, I don't have any pain or problems like that because of how much, movement, physiology, anatomy science that I know. So then after I said that, I started to get knee pain. It's interesting. I didn't hurt it. I think it's related to the cold. So that's happening. I'm sure it'll work itself out in a second, but we could also look into it and kind of see into it, see what's going on. Yeah, I don't know, not too interesting. I can get the pain to go down my leg. Oh, what is pain? Why, what's happening sensorially that I think that there's a problem with my knee? Feel it right in here. That makes it worse. Oh. Wow. It could be a little bit of arthritis from the illness that I have. When I feel normal again, it's going to be amazing. This has been insane. So, what I'm trying to do with these videos and otherwise is demonstrate something that happens at all levels and at all times. So, I'm making the videos very nothing special, because I'm doing it there just as much as if I was pushing myself to the absolute limit, right? So it's there just as much as when I'm sick, right? So what makes this movement correct or incorrect? And it's the energy, the will, your muscular impulse is electricity inside of water. So that is you, that impulse, that movement. How do you know where you are? You are doing. Where you're not doing, you go, that's my body. Where you are doing, you go, that's me. And you'll find it very abrupt. If you get a huge gash or cut yourself, you'll very quickly, it won't be you. It'll look like meat. Even though it's still alive, it's no longer you. You've been severed from it. You can't use it anymore. There's no you doing there anymore. So when you want to look for you look for the doing, and when you know your doing is your doing, and you can look into that scientifically, and you go, oh, the doing comes from the air, energy from the air, or really energy from the food is attracted to the air, I think. Oxygen being an electron acceptor, right? Anyway, so I think energy from the food is attracted to the energy in the air, and as that energy goes through the body, it powers your muscular contractions and your heartbeat and all that other stuff, and that's what lets you move and look around and see things and direct the eyeballs and pay attention. And so that doing is you. And that doing is what stops when you die. And so that doing is in the water. So it's next to the water anyway. It's in the body water. All the chemical reactions are in the body water. And so anytime that you're dealing with water, you can be in the water, you can be too heavy or attached to something on the bottom of the water, or you can be buoyant and light out of the water. Okay, so if you go out of your body water with that metabolic energy, that's where people feel themselves as going into like the spirit realm or into the non-physical. If you're if you get centered, so if your energy drops down to where your metabolism is neutrally buoyant, where it's floating, that's what people mean when they say resting, is that your metabolism shifts into the water so that it's buoyant the same way that you become buoyant if you were in water up to your head, right? And so you find your will and put it into the water, and you'll find out that's where the rest of your will was to begin with. Right, so the reason that you're not one with your will is because you're disassociated in the air thing. So as that aspect of you in the air that's disassociated drops down in the body, it finds the rest of you that has already been there. And so that's why it doesn't feel like you're doing very much when you I don't know, wake up in a certain way. You come down into yourself, and all the metabolism, the rest of your will is there, and so then you start participating with the rest of your will, and then that is what forms the experience of a very powerful body, because you're using the totality of your metabolism consciously. You can put all of your all of the ATP, all of the oxygen that you're burning can be used towards this one goal, versus like it being kind of like scattered, diffuse, or not being used for anything other than it's like cycle maintenance, right? So the metabolism is just basically these cycle maintenances, and the more you're in it, all the energy of the water, if you feel that you're the water, you can direct all the energy in the water rather than any process happening in the water. The water itself directs the processes rather than being directed by the processes. Because when you're disassociated, you're looking at the water, you have no control over it, and what do you see moving with the water is the processes. So you see the processes are what's causing the surface of the water to change, so then you try and change the processes to cause this behavior to change. When you drop in, when you're inside of it, you're capable of being like, oh, I am that, right? And then all of a sudden you're directing the processes. And this is the step that like everybody needs to take. So that's why in some cases, like, it's not good to help people's processes. It's not good to help a process in some ways sometimes. Maybe to keep them alive, I don't know, but it's definitely a nuanced question of what do you need to do to make the world better. And that's why you get crazy people like the elite. Everybody thinks they're making the world better, because they're looking at some process and they're like, if I can stop that process, or if I can help it or whatever, then the consciousness will go that direction and that will be good. Whereas anybody who drops into the consciousness rather than the processes can just control the whatever's happening, right? That's the only good outcome, really, because that's the only true outcome. That's the true outcome. Like when you're up here directing the processes, you think it's happening because of the processes, when it's really happening because of you. And then that, gets taken as victim shaming, and I don't know, maybe it's true. There's certain, like, yeah, you have to, but anyway, so you just feel your metabolism, whatever you can feel. It can be any amount. The more you meditate, the more you feel, the more you're going to feel. But you can start right now with any amount of feeling, awareness, being, and just center it right in the water. Where is the water? It's resting on the floor. So then center your will in the water resting on the floor. And boom. There you are. And if you can make this very important feeling the feeling of importance, meaning, attention. So like a big contest, a big tournament, a big performance, a big grand narrative, right? I am going to sit down and pray. Why am I praying? For the salvation of somebody's eternal soul. This person's well-being for eternity is the reason that I am going to connect to God, right? That story drives immense importance. But otherwise, you can just be like, oh, it's the big contest, it's the big whatever. That causes that attention, that pressure, that focus causes the water to become denser and more thick. You could view it as an ionic gradient or whatever, but the water gets more pressure. And then that also gives you more buoyancy, because the denser the fluid that you're in is, the more buoyant you are. So as that intensity of focus goes up, then your metabolism and your will is in your awareness, and it's lighter, it's more buoyant, it doesn't have to hold itself up more, and it can get into all sorts of different positions, and it can feel how to avoid positions that are unsupported. And really, that's it, right? You run into this paradox a lot. People describe it that way, like if you teach Tai Chi, you're hiding Tai Chi, right? If I go, what do you do? This. If I'm not saying like, what do you do? You feeling awareness or metabolism, will is you. Your awareness is even more you, but it's not you. You're your will. So your awareness is the medium that your will is floating in, which is the water. And your will has something to do with the energy from the spirit and the matter, the energy from above and below, as it mixes together in your food or your digestion. Eating is such a crazy sacred act of taking a substance and then dissolving it into the water, offering it up to the gods of your body to like absorb and then recrystallize in whatever way. Like people should be like insanely praying like whenever they eat, no matter what they eat. I was noticing earlier today that like when COVID hit, I definitely like lost a ton of purpose or meaning or importance. Like I didn't feel connected to the world. Everyone seemed like retarded, insane, barely sentient, unawake, brainwashed, or worse. Some people were awesome, but it just shouted all the different communities. And I definitely like lost the will or the motivation to move. Or train or like control my thoughts. Sort of a learned helplessness, I guess. Anyway, so like a move like this, like with the head, you could do that by using your will to pull your head back. Or you can do it by using awareness to push yourself back and ride back. Or you can do it by pushing with your awareness and surfing with your will. That's it. We'll make a video out of that.